So imagine this. Institutions built over centuries, suddenly competing with a machine that learns faster than any student alive. What happens then? What happens to, the whole mission of higher education? This isn't some future scenario. It's not science fiction. The AI revolution is right here, right now, and it's fundamentally reshaping universities. Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise. We're giving you a shortcut, pulling together insights from leading experts on how artificial intelligence is impacting, well, everything. University strategy, education, research.
Yeah, and before we really dive in, we need to get the terms straight because the sources we looked at are pretty careful about these distinctions. We're talking about three main things here. First, AI, that's the big umbrella term, right?
Yeah.
Technologies that sense their environment, analyze it, and then act autonomously to hit specific goals.
Okay, the broad category. Got it.
Exactly. Then there's generative AI, Gen AI. That's the one everyone's talking about. ChatGPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft's Copilot, the tech that actually produces new stuff, text, code, images, you name it.
Right, the content creators.
And the third piece is LLMs, large language models. They're basically a specific type of Gen AI. Their focus is generating text that sounds human because they've been trained on just massive amounts of data.
And this is where the real tension kicks in, isn't it? Vinton Cerf, one of the fathers of the internet, he pointed this out in the material we reviewed. LLMs have this remarkable ability to generate stuff that sounds totally coherent, totally valid, and it's huge, but.
Yeah, they also have this capacity for hallucination. They can generate information that sounds incredibly convincing, but is just completely wrong, counterfactual.
Well, that's the dangerous part.
It really is. It's like their Achilles heel right now. Cerf had this brilliant example, kind of absurd, but it makes the point perfectly. He said, look, you have to apply your own common sense, your own due diligence. Otherwise, you could end up with a bot confidently telling people to, eat small pebbles to add minerals to their diets.
Ugh. Okay, yeah, that definitely sticks with you.
It does. And it just hammers home that human judgment. That's skepticism. It's absolutely non-negotiable. You can't just trust the output blindly.
And that urgency, that need for critical thinking now, it's because we're in what Professor Rose Luckin calls a perfect storm.
Right. She talks about this convergence, and suddenly we have vast amounts of data, really advanced machine learning algorithms, and computing power like we've never seen before, all hitting at the same time.
And this storm isn't just brewing, it's already landed. Professor Kate Borthwick points out Gen AI isn't a novelty anymore. It's everywhere.
Absolutely ubiquitous. It's baked right into software people use every day, like Microsoft Office with Copilot or Grammarly. It's actually, as she puts it, difficult to avoid.
Which leads us to some pretty startling data about adoption. The HEPI Cortex survey for 2025. It paints a picture that's, well, seismic. Get this, 92% of undergraduates say they've used Gen AI in some way. 92%.
That's huge.
But here's the number that really makes you stop and think. 88% admit using it specifically in assessments.
Hold on. Just let that sink in. 88%. Using AI in assessments. That's not some small group experimenting. That's the new default. It basically means that core assumption, that the work submitted reflects the student's own unaided effort. That's gone. Or at least it's fundamentally changed.
Totally. And this immediate widespread shift, it creates this massive tension for university leaders, doesn't it? On one side, you've got Janice Kay and Durfell Owen calling for an appetite for agility and taking risks.
Yeah, which kind of flies in the face of how universities usually operate, right? They're typically cautious, focused on quality assurance, careful processes.
Exactly. But then on the other side, you have Borthwick saying, hang on, we need carefully considered changes. Because if you rush this,
you risk causing real harm. Speed can lead to inequity. Borthwick is really clear. Universities have to move faster, yes, but they must guard against creating new digital divides, based on gender or wealth or even what subject someone studies. Rushing could just privilege those who are already ahead digitally.
So, okay. We've got this regulatory tension. We've got near universal student adoption. It seems blindingly obvious that the number one skill everyone needs, students, staff, leaders, is AI literacy.
Absolutely critical. Kay and Owen actually lay out a three-pronged approach for developing this fluency, specifically for the university workforce.
Okay, what are the prongs?
So the first is competency assessment. This means setting clear baseline AI skills required for different roles. And it's not just for the tech folks. Everyone needs some level. They suggest using frameworks like the European Digital Competence Framework as a guide. It has levels from newcomer right up to pioneer.
So what does that actually look like on the ground? Are we talking mandatory training? What's a threshold skill for, say, an administrator compared to a professor?
Well, it needs tailoring. So for that administrator, maybe the threshold is being able to use Gen AI securely to summarize, I don't know, new financial regulations quickly and accurately. But for the professor, it's much more advanced. It might mean designing assignments where students have to use AI, but also critique it, document how they used it, essentially teaching them to think like a pioneer about the tool itself.
Right, understanding its strengths and weaknesses through application. That makes sense. What are the other two prongs?
Second is continuous skill development. This isn't a one-off training. It means building AI skills into ongoing professional development all year round and using incentives, maybe micro-credentials or making AI skills count towards promotion to really embed it in the culture. And the third prong is developing leaders, specifically identifying and nurturing those pioneers in using AI for teaching and learning. These are the people who can mentor others and feed innovation back into the university's overall strategy.
Okay, and Professor Borthwick adds more detail here with 6 guiding principles for developing that essential AI literacy for everyone, staff, and students. Starts with the basics, knowledge.
Yeah, that's fundamental. Everyone needs to grasp how these LLMs actually work, how they're trained, and critically, why they make mistakes, why they hallucinate. You can't use a tool critically if you don't understand its limits.
Makes sense. Then comes collaboration.
Right. This can't just be dictated from the top down. You need to work with students, with colleagues to figure out what training works, what's relevant. Co-creation is key.
And communication. Being really clear about how, when, why Gen AI should or shouldn't be used, and linking that use directly to the learning goals of a course or task.
Then there's one that's often missed, transparency. Staff need to be open about their own use of Gen AI. Did they use it to help draft an assignment, create some learning materials, give initial feedback? Modeling responsible use is huge.
That's a really interesting point. Out of these 6, which do you think is the toughest for faculty to really embrace right now, based on the sources?
That's a good question. Probably the last one. Continuous learning. It demands constant adaptation, especially around assessment. The ground is shifting so fast, like every few months. But also ethics, the 5th principle. Embedding discussions about the wider impacts, data privacy, copyright, environmental costs. That adds a whole other layer of complexity to courses that are probably already packed. But you can't be truly AI literate without wrestling with that baggage.
Yeah, it moves the conversation way beyond just catching cheaters to demanding really intelligent ethical engagement with a powerful new tool. So if things are changing this fundamentally in the classroom, how does that ripple upwards? How does it affect, say, the boardroom and overall university strategy?
Right. That's the perfect pivot point. Dr. Giles Carden's work shifts the focus completely. He argues AI isn't really there to decide the strategy for the university. Instead, it's about automating and crucially augmenting the processes universities use to actually formulate and then implement their strategies.
Okay, let's break that down. Strategy formulation first. How does AI help there?
Well, it can provide rapid and extensive analyses of the external environment. Think real-time intelligence. What are the market conditions? What are competitors doing? Where is student demand shifting? This could totally revolutionize global benchmarking. Instead of relying on those, frankly, imperfect global rankings, which are slow and lag behind reality.
Right, they're often based on reputation as much as current performance.
Exactly. AI could offer objective, real-time competitive positioning. Plus, it can automate really sophisticated scenario planning, juggling dozens of variables at once, much more complex than humans can easily manage.
So swapping lagging indicators for real-time insight. Okay. And what about strategy implementation? Carden used a really good analogy here.
Yeah, the Netflix analogy. It's great. He says AI enables a much more dynamic and real-time approach.
Yeah.
Think about Netflix. Their AI is constantly tracking what people watch, how different shows perform in different regions. If some news sci-fi show tanks in Asia but blows up in Europe, they shift marketing money, even future show commissions, like immediately.
I see. So universities could do the same.
Precisely. They could monitor their own KPIs, their performance analytics, instantly, see what's working, what's not, and adjust course much faster than waiting for, say, quarterly reports.
The power there is huge, being able to shift resources quickly if something's failing or maybe succeeding faster than expected, but that speed and power comes with a catch, right? Carden highlights the economics.
Yeah, the technology choices and economics of AI. This is a major hurdle. It's a real management dilemma. For instance, the sources mention OpenAI's O1 reasoning model costs about 60 Wei per $1 million output tokens. But their top-tier, most sophisticated model, O1 Pro, that's 600 per million tokens.
Wow, 10 times the cost.
10 times for what might be incremental improvements in reasoning or accuracy.
So why is that such a big deal for a university budget manager? They're dealing with millions of tokens potentially.
Because resources are always finite, right? Leaders have to constantly weigh that price point against the actual value gained. Do you pay the $600 for a draft legal document that's 99% accurate? Or do you pay $60 for one that's maybe 85% accurate and then spend human time refining it? That calculation cost versus marginal value becomes a really fundamental part of strategic planning now.
That cost-benefit thinking is crucial, especially when we look at professional services, the administrative side of the university. They handle so many high-volume tasks.
And this is where Gen AI can be a massive engine for productivity gains, according to Dr. Ant Bagshaw and Dr. Sudhir Parwana. It's brilliant for streamlining that administrative knowledge work.
Like what specifically?
Summarizing huge documents, interpreting complex regulations or statutes, drafting initial versions of reports or consultation responses. Often it can get the work, say, 80% done, which massively speeds things up.
And we're seeing real-world examples already, aren't we? The University of Glasgow using robotic process automation, RPA, for repetitive data transfers.
Yeah, cutting down errors and saving time. Or Staffordshire University using 2047 digital assistance chatbots, essentially to handle tons of common student questions.
Which frees up human staff for the complex stuff.
Exactly. The cases that need real empathy, detailed knowledge. It lets humans focus on higher value work.
I think the proactive support potential is maybe the most exciting part. Nottingham Trent University using predictive analytics.
Right. Tracking student engagement, are they attending? Using online resources to flag students who might be at risk of dropping out.
So they can intervene early before a small issue becomes a crisis.
It's powerful stuff.
Yeah.
But and this is critical. All these gains in professional services come with huge ethical responsibilities. You're dealing with sensitive student data. So strict GDPR compliance is essential. You need auditing tools to check for bias in the algorithms, making absolutely sure these systems aren't accidentally harming students or reinforcing existing inequalities.
That need for ethical oversight is paramount. And the sheer productivity of AI, its ability to generate really good content, brings us right back around to the academic core assessment.
It really does. Because Gen AI is, as Borthwick says, becoming very good at doing the activities we routinely ask our students to do. Traditional essays, reports, they're becoming less reliable measures of individual learning.
So if the machine can mimic the output so well, what on earth are we supposed to be testing?
That's the million-dollar question. Professor Rose Luckin argues forcefully that we have to shift assessment, move away from just measuring the output, and focus instead on sophisticated thinking and learning capabilities.
Focusing on what the AI can't do, or at least can't do well yet.
Precisely. The uniquely human skills. Metacognition, understanding how you think, self-regulated learning, real creativity, emotional intelligence, critical evaluation. AI should be seen as a tool, maybe like a mental extension, to help enhance those human abilities, not replace them.
And this thinking extends right into research itself. There was a chapter in our source material, interestingly drafted with help from ChatGPT Enterprise.
Yeah, that was fascinating.
It summarized how AI is changing the whole research lifecycle. It accelerates discovery tools like Elicit or Semantic Scholar, can do massive literature reviews almost instantly.
It transforms data processing. AI can integrate and pull insights from huge, diverse data sets, stuff that would just overwhelm a human researcher. Different types of data, too.
And it helps with dissemination, drafting summaries, structuring papers, even helping with the initial stages of peer review.
So the ultimate goal really comes back to Professor Luckin's core argument.
Yeah.
This AI revolution means humans need to get smarter, not dumber, significantly more intelligent, as she puts it. The university's job is to use AI as that catalyst, to push our uniquely human cognitive skills to new levels.
But there's a foundation needed for all this, isn't there? Luckin uses that great metaphor, the pipes and poems.
Yes, it's such a powerful image.
Can you unpack that a bit? What are the pipes? What are the poems here?
Okay, so the poems are those amazing educational outcomes we're aiming for. Developing that higher order thinking, the metacognition, the creativity, the critical evaluation AI can help foster the beautiful end results. But You can't get those poems without the pipes. That's the underlying stuff. The solid data architecture, the robust IT systems, the cybersecurity, the data governance policies, the skilled people needed to manage it all ethically and effectively.
Ah, right. The essential infrastructure.
Exactly. You can't write the beautiful poem if the plumbing underneath is broken or doesn't exist.
Okay, so we've covered a lot. The urgent need for AI literacy across the board, the dynamic ways AI is already augmenting strategy and operations, and this huge imperative to redesign education itself to focus on cultivating that higher order human intelligence.
It's a massive integration challenge, needing both speed and careful thought, agility and prudence, like we said.
Which really leads us to the final provocative thought we want to leave you with. Consider this. If AI can now reliably generate the answers, structure the content, do so much of what we used to assess, how aggressively should universities start dismantling the old ways? How much should they invest right now in building those foundational pipes, the data infrastructure, the staff training that are essential for enabling deep human metacognition and critical thinking? The choice isn't whether to use AI anymore. It's about what kind of intelligence, human and artificial, we're actually willing to build and fund for the future.